One. Hey, college wrestling fans, it's Johnny Thompson, number one. And I tell you what, it is a sweltering 90 degrees here in Iowa. But the person that I'm about to talk to probably thinks, ooh, that sounds chilly, because where he's at, it's extremely hot. Please welcome to the show, assistant wrestling coach of Arizona Christian, Skyler Crespo.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on the show. Excited to get on here, talk about some Firestorm wrestling. First year with the program last year, first year in the corner coaching. Second year coming up this year, looking to have a big season and keep jumping levels as a program. So
Now, before we start getting into Firestorm Wrestling, I want to bring up a really interesting fact about you. Your mom was a varsity basketball player at Western New Mexico, and you list as your all-time favorite athlete, 2019 Big Ten Basketball Player of the Year, Cassius Winston. I'm curious to know, was there ever an interest in going the basketball route? And if so, how were we lucky enough to get you on the mat?
um, that's a funny fact to bring up. My favorite player. I would say, yeah. At one point, I tried to play basketball. I tried to play basketball in seventh grade. I played 1 year. I made the A team. I was the worst player on the A team. I was awful. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't dribble. So I never seriously wanted to play basketball. I would say my mom is probably the slept-on athlete of our family. I think my dad gets a little too much credit for giving me good athletic genes. But I picked that basically because I didn't want to pick a wrestler that didn't go to Michigan State as my favorite athlete to put on the Michigan State bio. So, and I also, honestly, I'm my own favorite wrestler, and that felt a little cocky to put on the bio as well. So, looking back, I wish I would have picked a Michigan State football player. I'm a bigger Michigan State football fan than I am wrestling, or than I am basketball. If I'm going to pick a sport that's not wrestling, but yeah, that is an interesting fact. But no, not too serious into the basketball route. No.
You know, Coach Crespo, we often think of wrestling coaches as what they do for us on the mat, the techniques they show us, the strategies they show us. But you know as well as I do, as you're coaching, there's so much more to it than that. You know, there's the mental side of it, the social side of it, the spiritual side of it. And you yourself were a three-time all academic Big Ten. And I'm curious to know, in your coaching, have you also helped your wrestlers with their studies?
Yeah, actually, I host study hall probably once every other week. In the preseason, we'll do it on like Wednesdays. I'll help the guys if they need help, but I wouldn't say I'm necessarily like a tutor or anything. I'm a smart guy, but I'm no Albert Einstein, if that makes sense.
I don't think I'm classified as that either. In both 2021 and this past year, 2025, the Firestorm qualified five wrestlers for the NAI championships. Four of those qualifiers returned this year. Plus, we also have, in my opinion, another great wrestler, Caden Cisneros.
Yes,
Sorry
sir.
if that's not being pronounced right. We also have a transfer coming in, and some, some super top freshmen. 2025, 2026, which will be Arizona Christian's seventh year altogether as a wrestling program. This could be you guys' best season yet. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so qualified five guys last year, returned four of them. Sadly, we lose Mike Moreno. Shout out Big Mike, gonna be missed in the room. He's a great guy, great wrestler. Um, but yeah, we bring back four qualifiers. We have another guy on the roster, Caden Martin, who didn't qualify last year. Kind of had a disappointing postseason, but he qualified back in 2022 or 2021, I believe. It was before I was there. Um, he also had a win over the third place at the weight below him last year. So, I mean, he has potential. He's just got to find a way to put it together. We have Leo Galasso coming in from Indiana Tech, a kid I recruited, grew up with, trained with. He lost in the blood rounds last year. Hopefully, looking to get him on the podium. Hopefully, on the top of the podium, if we're being realistic. So we got those guys. We're still talking to some other recruits. Picked up some great high school recruits coming in. Got a couple kids from Sunnyside, which is kind of a national powerhouse, probably the best program in the state for Arizona. Um, yeah, man. I mean, the list goes on. I feel like I'm leaving out names of guys, but we have so much potential as a team. We just got to put it together in March.
Speaking of all that success you guys had last year, the success you're hoping to have this year, sophomore Sean Archuleta, let's talk a little about him. What a trailblazer he has been for Firestorm Wrestling. We're talking the first ever Cascade Collegiate Conference champion, the first ever Missouri Valley Invitational champion, which in my opinion is the toughest in-season NAIA wrestling tournament that there is. And he also became your first ever NAIA All-American last year. Could we possibly be looking at the Firestorm's first NAIA national champion?
Yeah, I truly believe so. I think Sean was good enough to win a national title last year, and I think he thought he was good enough to win a national title last year. Obviously, didn't go the way it wanted to. But another thing I want to point out here is Sean was 18 years old last year. This isn't a kid that got redshirted. This isn't a kid that did 2 8th grades, which I did, admittedly. A lot of wrestlers, you know what I mean, they get held back. But no, Sean was 18 years old wrestling grown men in the national semifinals, and like you said, a trailblazer is a perfect word for it. We're looking to, guide the room towards Sean this year, type of thing. He's the best wrestler on our team, and if you don't want to work as hard as Sean does, and you don't want to accomplish his goals that Sean does, then you're going to be left behind. Because we got a lot of guys that want to be Sean, and guys that are going to be Sean this season, I believe. I think we're going to have multiple All-Americans for the first time. And yeah, I truly do think we'll have the best year in program history.
You mentioned earlier Indiana Tech transfer Leo Galasso, who won a Wolverine Athletic Conference title last year. I've been going through all of the NAIA weights. In my opinion, probably one of the most potentially, I would call Galasso a dark horse. I realize I'm on the same page you are. I don't think there's any reason why he can't reach that podium and be anywhere on that podium, including at the top. Are there any other wrestlers part of Firestorm Wrestling that would fit that description?
Um, a lot of them, I'll be honest. The first I would name would be a lot of NAI fans wouldn't know. Aiden Bostic, he's an incoming freshman. Probably be a 141 for us this year. We'll most likely double up that weight with Channing Porter, who's a returning qualifier. So great partner for Channing. Aiden was nationally ranked last year. I want to say he was 19 in the country at one point at 138. I could be wrong on that weight class. It could be 132. But Bostic should be a guy that right away makes an impact for us. Same high school as Sean. Grew up with Sean. Basically, we're hoping that's Sean 2.0. That's the first I would name. Like I said, Caden Martin had a win over Keller Rock last year, who was third at 165. I know it's a weight class up, but Caden Martin's a really good wrestler when he wants to be. He's just got to put it together on the mat.
My last question for you today, Coach, is talk to me a little bit about Arizona Christian. I know we're 9 miles outside of Phoenix. You guys are also where the Arizona Cardinals play their NFL home football games. Why would a wrestler want to choose Arizona Christian, and what type of student athlete are you guys looking for?
Type of student athlete we're looking for are guys that want to win wrestling matches, in my opinion. Guys that want to win wrestling matches and men of Christ. Those are the two biggest things for me that I'm looking for personally. Coach Butterfield, our head coach, and Coach Hillhouse, our other assistant, are looking for the same thing. Men of Christ, guys that want to win wrestling matches, and guys that go to school and pass classes and get grades. Those are the big important things for us. But to talk about the campus, the location and stuff, I think we're a sleeping giant waiting to happen, to be honest, in terms of a program. You look at a lot of the other programs in the NAIA, and they aren't necessarily always in the most desirable locations. There's a lot of, Kansases and Iowas and Nebraskas, and I was from Michigan, so I know how it is in those cold states. And I know there's a lot of kids that want to leave, a lot of kids that want to get in the sun, guys that want to. I mean, California is right there. That's a great power state where you can kind of keep guys home, if that makes sense, or closer to home. But I think we're a sleeping giant. I really do. You look at Life and Southeastern, two programs that kind of bloomed recently in NAIA, and those are both in desirable locations. Atlanta and Fort Lauderdale area, I believe Southeastern is. So I think Arizona Christian is a sleeping giant, and I think this year is a big step into being a household name.
We want to thank you today for being a part of JT1Wrestle. It's been a pleasure. We wish you the best of luck in the 2025-2026 season.
I appreciate you. Roll Storm.